say what I'm
It's
saying.
a beautiful morning from the side, and of course, we are always delighted to have you. Welcome to the program Politics Today, reaching you live from ITV Network Studio. My name is Daniel Praise Oset Debame, anchoring the program on behalf of Dr. Sanju Okosun, who is unavoidably absent. Now, today, we are going to be addressing the state of the nation. We're going to be taking it from the insecurity, rising costs of living, the minimum wage implementation, petrol price hike, and their impact on Nigeria's economy. I can tell you that Nigeria is at a critical stage currently. And we're going to be looking at key issues that will help shape the nation. We are facing several challenges that are affecting the daily lives of its citizens, including worsening insecurity, the rising cost of living, like I said, and long-awaited implementation of the new minimum wage, and a sharp increase in petrol price. Everyone is feeling it. Now, this issue has significant implications for the economy and social stability. Today, we shall be exploring how these crises are intertwined and how we can have a long-lasting solution. We are privileged to have with us here in the studio a seasoned lawyer. He's an elder statesman, a chieftain of the APC. He's a person of barrister gentleman Amego. It's a privilege to have you, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome to the program. And of course, joining us virtually from the United States, we have the only female candidate of the PRP, People's Redemption Party. She's in person of Patience in the decay. She joins us live from the United States. Good morning and good to have you on the show.
Good morning. Thank you, Daniel, for having me.
Okay, all the way from Eastern Central, we have a politician, a businessman, and of course, one of the chieftain of the People's Democratic Party, and he was one time a front roller for the #1 seat in Igwebe local government council. He's a person of Dr. Pascal Eboime. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Pascal.
Thank you, Daniel, for having me.
You're welcome. All right, let's get back to the studio where we have Barrister Gentleman Amego with us. Now, how would you assess the current state of Nigeria? How will you assess it?
Well, today in Nigeria, we don't really know where we are. Assessing the state that we are now will drag us into conundrum or shenanigans. We are just moving on. At the dawn of each day, we thank God that we are awake. Because the situation is so topsy-turvy that we don't know what happens next. Prices of everything has gone up. People are crying. People can't even buy drugs when they are ill. It's an unfortunate situation that we are in. But we have become so prayerful in Nigeria. We hope that God will lead us out of this quagmire that we are in. Well, beginning from the petrol price, you don't really understand what is happening. Because they tell you, oh, we are removing the subsidy. Remove the subsidy and let us know where we are. We don't know where we are. Today they are 200 naira. The other day 300 naira. What exactly is it that we are expected to pay that we are not paying? Let us know how much you are adding to the money we used in paying before. Today we are just moving without direction. If you like millipedes without eyes. We're just going. So when you want to assess the situation today, Nigeria, it is dark. It is unclear. It is nebulous. It is cloudy. But just thank God that you are awake the following day.
Okay, Dr. Barrister Amego actually said the situation is dark. Let's get to Patience in the decay. You are a woman, and of course, you were the only female candidate in the just concluded Edo State gubernatorial election. So many women will tell you when they go to the market today, the price changes the next day. Do you think there is light at the end of this dark tunnel?
Yeah, thank you for the question. There can be lights at the end of the tunnel when the situation of Nigeria is multifaceted, you know, going from hiking price in everything, energy, petrol, meaning fuel, a lot of things. And when you have even the issue of leadership, lack of visionary leaders, a lack of leaders that, will tell the populace the truth of what is actually going on in the country. So that's a very big problem. Leadership, number one. And that's why we're going from, left to right, right to, we don't even know where we're going. And that is, really, really, really sad. If you look at the rating of Global Peace Index, using the one of 2022, Nigeria ranked 146 out of 163. What does that shows you? It, that puts us in the place of a high level of insecurity, which is really, 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 really sad. So talking about the market situation, of course, things cannot go well. Prices of there's going to be inflation in prices every now and then, just because of the kind of leadership we have. It's it's not just, it takes two to tango. If you have people who have the willpower to do good, the willpower to serve the people, because leadership is all about service. But if you have people who are not there to serve the people, but to serve their interests, these are the kind of things you have. High price of fuel, high price, which leads to high price of food, high price of transportation, high price in everything. People talk about the wages that have been increased. No matter how much you increase the wages, a country that does not produce anything, we don't have local production. We rely on importing goods. Almost everything we have. There's no value chain for the things we do. So that is where we are in the nation. So there's not going to be light at the end of the tunnel if we don't have leadership that are visionary, if we don't have people that have the willpower to do good and understand that, to be able to be, where we need to be, we have to be productive. We have to look into our agriculture. We have to train our people. We have to educate our people. Education is not just going to a high school and having master's degree and having PhD. There's a lot, skills development and all that it takes. So that's where we are until we get there, having people it takes people to build a system, and it takes people to also build this to sustain that strong system. So when you don't have those kind of people in place, we'll continue to go back and forth in our country.
To Dr. Pascal, thank you very much, patient to dedicate.
Dr. Pascal, you heard what she said. Now, everything rises and falls on leadership. Do you think the current leadership under the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is being sincere with Nigerians at this point, looking at some of the policies they've implemented less than 2 years in office?
First, by way of an introducing comment, let me start by saying that the state of the nation, like my good friends clearly put it, some people describe it as a free state, but I believe it's a beleaguered nation with a lot of challenges. Some they have already listed that make us to think that in terms of the governance of this country, it has been like a pendulum affair, going forward and back. You find out that with the protracted nature of insecurity in Nigeria, as a result of terrorism, banditry, kidnapping, ethnic conflict, religious terrorism, and communal clashes, with serious impact on the economy, disrupting agriculture, disrupting various infrastructure, impair oil production, increase government spending, thereby having not enough for social welfare programs, issue of inflation, food prices, high care costs, wage stagnation, even with the recent minimum wage enhancement to 70, there are a lot of implications and challenges that lie ahead in terms of their implementation. So by and large, talking about the leadership of Bola Tinubu, like my friend from the foreign country said, I mean, who's outside the country, well, we don't have a visionary leadership, a leader that will be ready to face the challenges and come out with a lot of transformation agenda. A leader that is not transformational, but is just transactional and just being positional, cannot go too far in addressing the problem of Nigeria. It is unfortunate that in the past 1.5 years, Nigeria expected improvement in the welfare and life of the people, particularly in terms of protection of life and property, talking about the insecurity, level of insecurity in Nigeria. And it is unfortunate that a government that's supposed to address, issues in the short term, what I mean addressing issues in the short term, we know today the rising cost of living, the rising inflation, health costs, medical care costs, transportation costs, and the impact on families. Many people cannot afford, a square meal a day, where a loaf of bread now says 1,500, where a bag of rice now 180,000 naira. How many people can afford this, even with the minimum wage? So there are issues in Nigeria, and unless we have, like my friend said, a transformational leader, a visionary leader that will be ready to listen to the voice of the average Nigerian, a leader that will listen and parley with the various stakeholders in taking a complex and a difficult decision that will affect the rest of us, a leader that will be able to, what I call have sense of urgency in dealing with, the critical issues that affect the people today, issue of feeding, issue of healthcare, and address issues of policies of assault and inconsistencies in government policies. Then we're not ready to move forward. So like my sister said, we expected light at the end of the dark tunnel, but the way we are going, I'm not too sure in the next 3 or 4 years that we are going to have the light. As it is now, there's a lot of political tensions, and people are already planning for 2027, politicians, particularly APC. You can see the level of instability in the political space that is being created by the APC-led government, just because they want to have control over all the states and local government in Nigeria. But we cannot afford to have one-party state. We must have a party that will say, look, you are not doing well, this is the way to go. Unless we have that kind of multi-party system, then we cannot go very far into the future. As an individual leader, you can move very fast, taking your personal interest into consideration. But as a people, a plural nation, we must put the people, the plural nature of Nigeria into account. We must involve every Nigerian from every part of Nigeria in deciding the future of this country, and then deciding on what we need to do in terms of the priority.
We'll get back to you in a moment. We just hope we are able to reconnect back to you. But, Barrister Gentleman, to an extent, there's no economy in the whole world that survives where insecurity is at the rise. Now, in what way do you think the ongoing insecurity is affecting our economic activities, especially in regions heavily relying on agriculture, like Edo State, for instance?
Yeah, even when you talk of Edo State, agriculturally reliant on what do we produce? An individual cannot farm on 100 by 200 successfully. We need mechanized farming to be able to develop our people. A country that cannot feed itself, that country cannot move forward. So all over the world, you see mechanized farming. Some companies will go on 5 miles square, and you cannot even see the end. This is where somebody like Dangote is exploiting us. Dangote should do something that will help Nigerians. Go to farming and say, oh, it's free for you people. But you are just amassing wealth for yourself and for your family there with our taxes, and nobody is saying anything. You see, the insecurity is a problem, very big problem. I have not left Benin City for the past 1 year, except I have to fly to Abuja or Lagos or abroad. It is sad that our own subsistence farmers can't even enter the bush to farm. They are afraid of insecurity. You can't travel safely. My cousin was coming from Iseluku yesterday. He was attacked on the way, broad daylight. Thank God he's alive, just took a telephone. There's nothing that is moving forward. It is not Tinubu now. Tinubu came into it, and he's working hard probably. I think he's working hard because we hear that he's buying some bombers and some helicopters to fight insecurity. We pray that he succeeds. But our major problem was the man was talking of indiscipline, that's Buhari. He was giving the party and he ran back. Instead of running forward, he just ran back. So it was 8 years that was wasted in this country. So we are trying to move forward right now. And I hope, too, that we will get there. The vice president of IMF said yesterday that we need between 10 and 15 years to repair our economy.
Yes.
But that's not our portion in Jesus' name. Because we don't need another 10 or 15 years.
They actually gave those information based on data that they have.
Yeah, but we pray, no, there can be a miracle. We pray it's not our portion in Jesus' name.
Okay, let's get...
We cannot stay for another 10, 15 years. If you know what we are suffering. My friend over there just said something now. They are even talking of 70,000. What is 70,000 for a man with 4 children in a month? This is very painful, sir. Very painful. If you see the lives of Nigerians, you will weep. One other young lady got out of the studio a few days ago when he was being interviewed because she was almost crying. You see the life of our people. Nigerians, they are suffering. This one just told you yesterday, Amechi, governor for 8 years, minister for 8 years, that now he's unable to buy diesel for his generator. That's a former minister.
And that's someone that has been in power for a very long time.
16 years. 16 years was minister of railway. For 16 years, he has been in government. And oil producing a state like River State. Yet it's complaining that he cannot buy diesel. So that tells you where we are. If Amechi can't buy diesel, what of yourself? What of myself? So many nights we sleep without light. No, we don't want to say what Nigerians are passing through. To put it in a nutshell, Nigerians have lost their integrity. They have lost their dignity. They don't even know where they are going. You know, I live with the crowd. I live in a popular street. I live with the margin crowd, and I see what people are going through. I am so sorry. I feel so sorry for some of them. The people who are enjoying this country are not more than 5–10%. The others are just wearing shirts and think that, oh, we are there. They are not there. They are not there.
Let's get to Patience in the Decay now, if she's still there. The economy is actually biting hard, and it's obvious. What should this administration do to salvage this, to provide a short-term solution? Well, some persons have actually said that APC is blaming APC for the woes of APC, taking a lead from what happened in the previous 8th administration of the former president, Muhammadu Buhari. What should this government do to salvage this situation in a short term?
Yeah, so looking at the case of insecurity, of course, it remains a significant challenge in our economy. Look, going from regional insurgency, banditry, communal violence, kidnapping, socioeconomic disparities, even governance deficit, historical grievances, environmental degradation, and all of it. So again, I'll come back to leadership. You just asked a question, what would the leadership do? And also you said something about, the blame game, which is really sad. Because I believe that when someone comes, to the seats and say, they want to contest for an election and they get themselves into position and become the president of the nation, you are there because you think you understand the challenges and you're going to give solutions, to avert, to mitigate those challenges. So coming into position to, we blame the previous government and all that, it means, the person didn't even know what to do in the first place. It's all about interest. It's all about just, being called the president of the nation. So, and that is very, very sad. To be able to avert the problems that we have, we need to be productive. Number one, we need visionary leaders. We need people who are there to transform. We need people who understand the challenges of Nigeria and have the solutions. We need people who understand that they need to work with a cross-functional team of experts, because Nigerians are very smart. Is it economists? Is it in the area of agriculture? Is it technology? Is it whatever it is? Nigerians, we have them in all over, whether seated in Nigeria or in the diaspora. Nigerians can, make Nigeria work. But first of all, you need visionary leaders. You need a leader that understands those things to be able to put a cross-functional team to move the nation forward. And understand that you need to be productive. Is inflation here, inflation there, and all that. And the blame game needs to stop. It's very shameful. The other government came and blamed the previous one. This current one is blaming why did you even contest for presidency? Why contest for a position when you know you have nothing to do? You have no value to add to the lives of the people and to the Nigerian community. So it's really, really sad. We need visionary leaders. We need to be productive. We need to educate our people. And that's, one of those things that we should do to move our nation forward. First of all, a visionary leader. If you put someone who will be there to continue blame people for what is already in the system, you're there to work. Begin to work. That is what it takes. This is over a year now. Nigeria just turned 64 years. And it's promises. But, when it comes to self-interest, you see people buying yachts, people buying private jets, people, all manner of nonsense in the country. And you say nobody should call Nigeria poor. But because of the situation of the so-called elites and those in power, that's why Nigeria is where it is. And that's why in some of my papers, I've said nobody is actually successful in Nigeria. Because you cannot say the president is successful or Dangote himself is successful or some of the so-called elites. Why? Because you cannot define success in the midst of abject poverty. We need to begin to think of local production. What do we have in our system? Nigeria is blessed with all manner of natural resources that we can use for manufacturing, to produce things that we need and even export to other countries. But number one, we need visionary leaders.
Dr. Pascal is sitting to continue with the conversation. Dr. Pascal, let's look at the issue of minimum wage critically.
No, hold on.
Okay, you wanted to react to what she said?
I just wanted to make a little contribution to what he said.
All right, quickly.
Because the question you asked is very simple. That is, what would the government or the people of this country, you and I, do in the short term or emergency now to bring succor to the faces of people? That is the first question. And I would like to say that she made a very valid point talking about the role of leadership. But I want to bring it nearer home. And we are not talking about the issue that borders on inflation and energy prices and food prices and healthcare costs, including even this wage adjustment, trying to increase the minimum wage for those who work in the formal sector. I want to say, including interest rate charged by banks, the government must clearly, come in, apart from what they've done so far, like the issue of direct support in terms of cash transfer and even supplying food to the vulnerable in our society. I would say that apart from that, what they need to do is to reduce or rather prioritize government spending and focusing on things that border in managing the rising cost of living. For instance, apart from what I just said about direct cash transfer to the vulnerable, like what we did recently, and a group in Igweve, what we did, we carried out what they call medical outreach. We bring over 22 doctors and other medical professionals to come and analyze, diagnose, and treat our people with different medical ailments. And the whole of the community, they were happy. If the government can replicate this in various communities in everywhere in Nigeria, and do that from time to time, you would have reduced the health costs borne by individuals and families. Ditto for food, like he said, people should go back to farms, plant vegetables, rear poultry, that will help to reduce the cost of talking about food prices and rising cost of living. It's also important that we look at the issue of employment. Those who are in employment, employers should come up with what I call flexible work arrangements, particularly in the urban cities, where they have to transport all the time, because the rising transportation costs are a result of increase in fuel price. That can be mitigated against flexible work system, whereby people can work 4 days in a week, they can work from homes, thereby they don't bear the excessive transport costs, and to put in place, other like cafeteria system where they subsidize feeding for their staff, both breakfast and lunch. And I'm talking about immediate measures to bring support to the people. I believe that for us to provide a solution to the problem, the rising cost of living today, resulting from insecurity and so on and so forth, the government alone has a primary responsibility to provide security to life and property. But as individuals, as citizens, we must play our role to ensure that this period of transition, I will call it, from hardship to a situation, to a time where we have a true leader, a visionary leader that will put in place economic reform, tax reforms, and energy reforms, and improve on basic infrastructures, so that medium to long term there will be a lot of improvement in the cost of living of the people. No amount of minimum wage you offer now, without changes in the fundamental, test of inflation, housing costs, energy prices, food prices, healthcare costs, tax and regulation.
All right, Doctor.
Even the global supply chain issues.
Okay.
That border on all these, what happened in Maduguri. You know what happened in Maduguri recently? It's a big blow, not only to that part of the country, even to other parts of the country that have to do business with Maduguri. And so many people have been displaced. They have been displaced. They are not working. So there's less time put to production, whether in agriculture, whether in marketing or farming or whatever. So all these are issues that are confronting leadership today. And unless leader, talking about national leader, has a sense of urgency, have the readiness and preparation to put measures in place to deal with these immediate issues, you will not have the right people to go. And don't forget, even some of the technical manpower.
All right, you have to wrap up now on your thoughts quickly.
It's a serious matter.
Okay.
Talking about brain drain. So the other question you asked, you talk about the rising petrol, isn't it? Was it rising petrol?
Yeah, but let's just hold on that. We'll get back to you in a moment, so you can continue from where you stopped. Let's return back. Do you think the cost of governance can be reduced in the immediate term to navigate through this hard time?
Definitely. Definitely, sir. It can be reduced. Look at this boy in Burkina Faso. He came, he refused to buy a single car.
Captain Torre.
He refused to buy a single car. Where are the cars that have been here? And then, even though he's a soldier boy, anytime he moves in the street, he himself and 2 other cars. Look at Kigali in Rwanda. I have been there. If a paper is dropped in the street and the child closes from school, he will go and pick the paper and take it to where it should be. Go and see how beautiful Kigali is. That's an African country. Well, everybody is talking of visionary leaders. Are we going to borrow Obama to come and govern us?
Definitely not.
Is it not the same Nigerians? What is the thermometer for measuring a visionary leader? Is it not when you come out and say, oh, I will do it, I will do that, I will do this? We say, oh, maybe he will do it. We just we'll give out our votes. And only when you get there, you know that he cannot do it. You see, I don't know how we're going to get that visionary leader. Yeah, it's a good idea. I'm in support of it. But how do we get that visionary leader? Since independence in 1960, have we gotten a visionary leader?
That's ready to sacrifice.
That is ready to sacrifice.
Can we ever have one?
I don't know. We had one.
We can.
Nigeria didn't allow him to stay. He stayed for 6 months. What do you call him down? That soldier from Kano. Probably were not born then.
I wasn't
that soldier from Kano is Mohammed.
Okay.
He saved us. He was ready to change everything in this country. The way we walk, the way we talk, everything. But Nigeria felt that it was very hard-hearted. So they killed him only after 6 months. So let us come together. The Nigerians themselves, they are not ready for a visionary leader. They are not. I'm an expressive somebody. Definitely. They are not. On the voting day, you see that they are not. They don't vote for leaders who want to govern. Okay. They vote for leaders who has a bag of rice or who has 10,000 or 5,000, as the case may be. They vote anyhow. These are the same young ones and women that we are crying about. Let us put this country right so that they, when they grow up, can enjoy this country instead of jackpying, all of them running out of this country. But they are not themselves ready. So the problem is across the spectrum of the society. Not only the leaders. See?
Okay, let's look at the private sector. What role can the private sector play in mitigating the effect of these economic issues? Do you think the private sector is really helping out at this moment?
Yeah, the private sector can play a big role. But the private sectors, I believe, cannot work on their own without the collaboration and an open hand, from the government in power. Remember, the policies that the government put in place will determine, whether businesses grow, whether businesses are productive, whether businesses get their ROI. Everyone in business is there to make money. So if the policies that are put in place by the government in power does not favor the businesses, then, and like I said earlier, there has to be a collaboration. The private sector can create jobs. The private sector can join the government in training citizens and also employing them. So there's a lot. The private sectors can bring investment, but we need a government that are open-handed, a government that can give such access, that enabling environment creates such opportunity for the private sectors to be able to come in, bring in investment, bring in investors, and for the economy to be able to thrive, and the people to create jobs for the people. So yes, the private sectors, these are the engines of every economy. We cannot survive by just only by the public sectors. The public sector have their own power, but the private sectors build the economy. The private sectors, sorry, build the economy. The private sectors build the economies, create jobs. Give the necessary training, the opportunity for human lives to thrive, for businesses to thrive, and all that. But the policies that is put in by the government in power determines businesses that will come in. You can see even for the foreigners, you see a lot of people, withdrawing from Nigeria. And even within, they don't even talk about people that are withdrawing from Nigeria. Even within, businesses are suffering. Why? Because of the kind of policies. There's high price in everything. There's no transportation. Why? Because of hiking in fuel prices. So yes, the private sectors can do a lot. You know, if they are given the opportunity, just like renewable energy, agriculture, technology, banking, and the rest of it, manufacturing, the government just needs to open doors, form this public-private partnership so that lives can thrive.
Okay, let's quickly get to Dr. Pascal. Thank you very much, Patience Ndidiki. Dr. Pascal, the
Yes.
civil servants are one of the major drivers as far as the economy is concerned. Do you think there should be an increase to the 70,000 minimum wage that the federal government said it was going to pay? Now, some state government have started paying already, and there seems to be a kind of disconnection. Some civil servants at the federal level, they are claiming they are yet to get the implementation, while some are already enjoying it. Some state governments have taken it a little bit further by offering to pay 85,000 naira. Lagos State, for instance. Now, do you think there should be an increase in the minimum wage so that an average civil servant can wage through this economic downturn?
You see, although one of the factors driving rising cost of inflation is wage stagnation, which is a matter of fact, the quick response to that is to think of a wage adjustment in respect of increasing the national minimum wage, which is like a regulatory framework to guide the implementation of a salary and wage administration in the public sector. Now, but the implementation itself of the national minimum wage is fraught with a lot of challenges. There are a lot of challenges because, number one, it can cause what I call inflationary pressure. Because as you increase a salary even to that 70 or above 70,000 naira monthly, because it's a system, there are interdependencies. Other subsystems within the Nigerian system will be affected, like school fees paid by parents, like transportation costs, like even the cost of food items. All of them will go up. Why? Not because you have increased the salaries. So there's also the issue of business resistance. Many companies will resist it because they feel that they may not have enough revenue collection to be able to pay that minimum. And so what they normally will do is to right size, if you like, reduce the workforce size, and they lay off staff, and that will not go well for the economy. And also, you look at the issue of other unemployment concerns that border with underemployment, where people tend to recruit people who are not even qualified just because they want to pay that minimum wage, and leave out those who are highly skilled. And of course, if those who are highly skilled lose their jobs, they will now be looking for a way to leave the country, which you call a jagba, or what I call brain drain, which is outward the migration of skilled manpower.
Okay. Dr. Pascal, let's get back to the studio now and meet Barrister Michael.
See, sir, the 70,000 minimum wage is a sin. I don't see how 70,000 can assist any human being. And even some state governments are refusing to pay the 70,000. A bag of rice costs as much as 120,000 right now. If you have 3 kids, 2 or 4, how can you ever save to build a house? And no civil servant spends less than 1,000 naira to go to the office and come back, except if you have a car. You see some walking around 5 o'clock, walking to the office because he hasn't gotten 500 or 1,000 naira to enter bus to the office. So to even say 70,000 is it's crazy.
It even took the government time to agree on this 70,000 that we're talking about.
Let those who are agreeing, let's go to their houses. How much they spend in feeding in one day. One day, Dangote made a profit of over $1 trillion 4 days ago. And you are talking of giving to those who pay the taxes 70,000 naira a month. Brother, it's a sin. 70,000 cannot do you anything. If you get 70 naira, it's not anything less than 200, 250,000 in a month. It's not worthwhile. When you say what other sectors will suffer, they will not suffer. How many civil servants do we have? How many of them? They are not more than 10,000. And so if you multiply 250 or 200 by civil servants, at the backdrop of what they get from the federal government every month, they collect billions. Governors collect billions from the federal government. Our common patrimony. They collect over 2 billion every month. Internally generated revenue, some 200 or something in River State, in Bayelsa, lots and lots of money. And yet you are complaining of, you are wicked. You want these people
so
to
70,000 naira is not reasonable.
It's wicked.
It's not reasonable.
It's not very, very unreasonable.
Okay.
The least we should be thinking about is 200,000.
200,000.
200. That will make some sense. A cup of rice, get home now, you want to eat rice. A cup of rice is 250 naira. To get here from Benin to get here, except they have already given you a car. You know how much you spend to get from Benin to this Oluku? In my street, Siloko, from Ogida to Central Park is 500 naira. And coming back, the same thing. Sometimes when I see my friends in buses, I feel sorry.
You need about 100,000 or 90-something thousand naira to fuel your tank
yes.
to an extent.
That's right.
Let's get to patience.
In 1977, sorry sir,
yeah.
we were buying Peugeot car, 1,700.
1977.
Naira. I'm not even saying
to get a whole car.
A whole car, new one.
Not the parts.
SUV, no. It's 1,700 in 1977. Today, that's going to give you a liter
of fuel.
Of PMS.
Okay. Let's talk about Edo politics now before we start taking our calls, because the call line is already hitting and calling for our attention. What is your expectation from the governor-elect as announced by INEC, Senator Monday Okpewolo?
You know what? Yeah, so anyone who comes into leadership, must understand the challenges of the community, the states that they've come to govern. What I expect is to see him invest in human capital, invest in human beings, give opportunities for SMEs, small businesses to thrive, and make sure our roads are being built, a good road system, a good road system, a good drainage system, it also helps with transportation of lives, transportation of goods and services, a good economy. So I want to see that our roads in all the nook and crannies in Edo State, and all roads that's leading, the one they call Federal Road, collaborate, talk to the federal government, see how we can work out, they can work out issues to make sure those, because the federal government, people in Abuja or Nasarawa or Niger are not the one plying those roads. Is the Edo indigenes that ply the roads leading to Ekboma, Auchi, Agbo, and the rest of it. Is Edo indigenes that ply those roads. So we need to, he needs to put in all the necessary work for that to be done. Drainage system. You see, when the rain falls, the area is flooded, which I witnessed myself. So as we're building roads, we need a good drainage system. Then investing in human capital, then in businesses. When these little things are done, and also looking, agriculture is key. We're talking about insecurity. What's the cause of insecurity? What is the root cause of insecurity
Okay.
in Edo State
All right.
and the rest of Nigeria? It's poverty,
Okay.
hunger, unemployment. So all those things, those factors need to be taken care of for a good government, for us to say, yes, we now have a good
All right, let's
government
quickly
in
get
Edo
to
State.
Dr. Pascal. Thank you. Dr. Pascal, you have to make this very short. Just recently, the Deputy
Yeah,
Governor of
a lot
Edo
of
State.
disruptions,
Yeah,
internet.
okay, but you can hear us now. Let's make this very short.
Yes, I'm
The
hearing
Deputy
you.
Governor of Edo State, Comrade
Yes.
Philip Shuaibu, or the reinstated Deputy Governor of Edo State, he actually said that he's giving out 1 million naira to anyone who will blow whistle to any government property that is being taken away, because he has actually said that there are allegations or there are fears in some quarters that some persons are planning to walk away with government properties, mostly from this administration that is winding up in November. Do you think it's a good one?
What is good about it? That he's ready to give 1 million to anybody to provide information as to anyone that is taking government property. Is that what you say? Is that your question? Hello?
Yes, that is the question.
Now, what is Swabu's interest? What is his interest in trying to find out whoever is taking government property? He's ready to give 1 million. What's his interest about it? Or has he identified anybody who's doing that? That's the first question. But I don't see why anybody, any person from Edo State will steal or take away government property without going through the due process. If he's going to buy a government property or a government land, he has to go through the due process, approve, and then it's all a transactional. But if it is a will of dispute, land dispute between individuals, and it's traced to the fact that the land belongs to the government, then such perpetrators should be brought to justice. They should be identified, and if they found wanting, they should be brought to justice. It's as simple as that. But I would like to know the interest of Swaibu as the former or the deputy governor of Edo State in trying to, why is he so concerned about the fact that the land that belongs to government is being stolen or is being taken away by unauthorized persons or individuals in the
All
state?
right, Dr. Pascal. Okay, thank you, Dr.
Yes.
Pascal. You want to react to that? The reinstated deputy governor seems to be interested in government till now. He's saying, if you have any information on anyone who is walking away with government properties, especially those that are in this government, let us know. I have 1 million naira for you.
That's very expressive. He has said what he wants to do. So, good luck to him.
Okay.
He's our man, our very good boy. Those who are VAR, we say in law, those who are VAR must prove. If he proves it, then the people must face justice.
He's calling EFCC,
Yeah,
calling
he's calling
ICPC.
whistleblowers. If anybody sees, let them report and collect 1 million.
Okay.
Nobody should steal our money.
Okay.
So, it's okay.
All right, let's get to the phone line. For those of you following us on radio, the number for you to actually call to be part of the conversation is displayed on the screen, but because of those on radio, it's 08077770300. Please do well to turn down the audio volume on your radio set or your TV set. I'll call the number again for the sake of the listeners on radio. The number is 080 77 Do well to turn down the audio volume on your radio or your television set and tell us where you're calling from. Hello, good morning, welcome to Politics Today.
Good morning.
Go ahead, we can hear you.
I want to say about the Sharipo comment. Actually, if he presently, if he interest in the present government, he will say that even they not find out that he is the one that take government property away out of the before the sacking. How can he do it? That's my contribution.
Okay, if we got your question, you're asking if he was not part of the government or something, but let's hope we didn't get that clearly. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, please do well to ensure that you're not too close to your devices. Then you go ahead and make your contribution. But meanwhile, while we're waiting to take the call, okay, let's take this. Hello, good morning. But this is Daniel Praise Osedebame.
Okay, my brother. Sorry for calling back.
It's okay.
Every time I hear you guys, you let I don't know, tunnel. Yes, I feel that. But my question this morning, when are we coming out of this tunnel? Are we going to die in this tunnel before seeing the light at the end of the tunnel? Well, what I see now, there's no hope. Because this irrigation, the project that state has no vision. I want to tell the truth. All they know is increment every day. Increment. I see nothing about it. Increment. For money and consuming. And they heard that this has said that $6.something billion in 1 year. Not up to 2 years. They are borrowing $6.something billion. And the money is not reflecting in our economy at all.
Okay.
Because they go and consume. By living, they have a life. You already have our senator using cost 150 million. In this economy, how can we grow? Let us tell ourselves truth. How much is the dollar? 150 now, so it's 1,720. How much did they left the fuel? Well, left our 100 naira. That is 1,000 something. What are we saying? Let us tell ourselves truth. They are doing nothing. I believe in the but I say this is everything I want by incompetent people. They're incompetent. They don't know what they're doing. That's why I'm thinking, I get thinking day by day. We have to talk, we have to say something.
Okay.
I read the church. This is not the country that the country you plan for. Go and play for something. But those employees cannot do anything.
Okay, let's let you go so we can give other callers the opportunity to call in, as time is not always our friend on the program. Hello, good morning. Welcome to Politics Today.
Hello, good morning.
We'd like to know your name and where you're calling from, please.
I'm calling for a family job. My name is Elzao.
Go ahead and talk to us, please.
I want to first of all thank the people that are on the video to show more light on the issue of state of the nation. So my own opinion, personal opinion on this matter is that politicians, they are the number one problem that we have in Nigeria. Politicians, they are the number one problem. Now my sister is the US, is the visionary leader. When we see visionary leader, we know, we Nigeria, we know this person is a good person. We know this is the Nigeria know somebody that is good. Visionary leader, government are making policy. Policy they are not involved in policy. They say we should go to government, Nigeria are not going to that. We should go to hospital, Nigeria are not going to that. This government told us that by January, the salary will be working. Last year they told us that that way is low. He has told us that we have to leader in this country. If the leader can make promises and not to fulfill it, then I'll be able to leave this country. I went to Saudi Arabia. When you go to Saudi Arabia, this is where the citizens are enjoying. In Nigeria now, what that man that is Amico, just ask what can see that Nigeria are benefiting from this government. Once they tell us that this thing that benefiting that stop it in this country.
Okay.
That's my opinion. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. 080-777-0-300 is the number to call, so we can begin to call it a wrap at this point. You might be my last caller for the program. Good morning. Welcome to Politics Today.
Good morning, Mr. Sadibare.
Thank you. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Raphael, calling from Nigeria.
Raphael, welcome to the program.
Well done, sir.
Thank you.
I think I salute the Shaifu document.
All right, thank you very much, Ralph. I'm afraid we don't have time again on the program. We sincerely appreciate you, Barrister Gentleman Amego.
Thank you.
It's
sir.
always a delight to have you on the program.
Thank you.
Okay, but before we let you go, Senator Monday Okpewolo will be sworn in. He will be coming in to take over the office in November 12th.
Yeah.
What are your expectations from him?
Oh,
Owing to
great.
the fact that some persons are already saying that the APC government that they are foreseeing in Edo State is going to have so many problems.
Well,
They are already prophesying.
Like you were, those are prophets of doom. They can prophesy anything, but we believe in Okpebolo. Very calm man, has his head over his shoulders. He's not grandiose. He's not extravagant. He's a very consigning and adding human being. I know him personally. You see, he's not a man of many words, but he's very focused.
Okay.
So
All right.
we expect lot of good things from him.
Okay, let's quickly get the view of Patient Ndidike. You were the only female candidate during the election. If you are given an opportunity to be part of this government, the APC government, will you return back to Nigeria, to Edo State, and take up that responsibility?
That's a very good one. Yeah, I ran because I want to serve my people. So there is nothing wrong in having the opportunity to serve them. The only thing for me is that when you call someone to be a part of a government, they are given the leeway, they are given the hand, they are given the opportunity to actually serve. I will not serve in a chaotic environment. Chaotic environment, I mean, I will not serve in an environment where I will call black whites. No, I will not do that. So I will continue to serve my people the way I've always served them. And if I have a transparent government, an accountable government, yes, I will put my heart to serve with my people.
Okay.
And also devoid of wolves and hyenas that we see around the governor-elect.
Okay. There are wolves and hyenas, according to you. Okay, some people say we have tigers and lions. Dr. Pascal, with the defeat of PDP in the polls, do you think that's the end of PDP in Edo State? Because APC is taking over any moment from now.
Certainly no. That's not the end, because the journey is not over yet, because it's before the tribunal. Because it must be proven otherwise. The PDP candidate did not win that election. I believe very strongly, and I have my facts, that the PDP candidate won that election. Be that as it may, the Okpebo will be sworn in, who's an APC candidate. Let's see what happens at the tribunal. But if we have the due process of the law and there is no undue influence, what I call federal might, in the judicial process, then of course I would be optimistic about the future of Nigeria. Quickly, before
we need to go now. We are running out of time, please.
Quickly, let me just say this, sir. Leadership. We can have visionary leader in Nigeria. We had somebody like Obafemi Awolowo, Aminu Kano in those days. They were visionary leader. We don't have time to talk more about visionary leader. We can still have one, people who are visionary, who are strategic thinkers, who look to the future and drive the people of this country to achieve that future. We can still do that. Okay. And I can tell you, unless Tinubu is ready to make the sacrifice and lead selflessly rather than ruling, and then be ready to be service-oriented, we are nowhere to serve as a leader in this country.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Pascal. We are going to take your last line as a take-up for the program. Leadership begins with doing the right thing. Wherever you are a leader.
That's right.
Just ensure you do the right thing at the right time, then Nigeria will move from where we are to where we are expecting it to get to. On behalf of all of us on the train this morning, I want to say thank you to our guest one more time, Barrister Lego, Patient Ndidike in USA, and of course, Dr. Pascal Eboime, all the way from Esan Central. My name is Daniel Praise Osedebame. On behalf of Sonny Dukokosun, your host, have a blessed week.